On a quiet December evening in Polglass just outside Belfast, Kevin McMullen, a supervisor at the Northern Bank's cash center, was at home, unaware his life was about to change forever. The city was settling into its festive rhythm, but for Kevin, the night would soon turn from ordinary to nightmarish. A knock at the door shattered the calm. Men dressed as police officers stood outside, claiming a security incident required his attention. Their uniforms and story were convincing, and Kevin, following protocol, let them in. The moment they crossed the threshold, the illusion vanished. These were not police, they were a ruthless criminal gang. The gang took control, separating Kevin from his wife, Karen, and making it clear that any resistance would have dire consequences. Karen was driven away to an unknown location, her safety now a tool for leverage. Kevin, left behind under guard, was handed a mobile phone, his only link to the gang's instructions. The message was simple: obey, or your wife suffers. The psychological pressure was immediate and overwhelming. The McMullen home, once a sanctuary, became a prison. The first stage of the UK's largest ever bank robbery was underway, executed with chilling precision. In a single evening, the ordinary was replaced by terror, and the countdown to a historic crime had begun. The gang's confidence and planning were absolute. Kevin's compliance was no longer a choice. It was a matter of survival. The storm had arrived, and there was no turning back. Simultaneously, in Lugan Island, Chris Ward, another Northern Bank official, faced the same nightmare. Men in police uniforms arrived at his door, spinning a story about a family emergency. Ward, caught off guard, let them in, only to be overpowered and held hostage with his partner and her young son. The gang's threats were chillingly specific. They showed Ward surveillance photos of his loved ones, proving their reach. The message was clear: any resistance would endanger everyone he cared about. Ward's partner and her son were taken away, their fate now tied to his obedience. Like Kevin, Chris was left with a mobile phone, isolated and terrified. The gang's operation was a synchronized psychological assault, designed to ensure total compliance. Two families, two bank officials, both now pawns in a meticulously planned heist. The tiger had its claws in deep, and the victim's only hope was to follow orders. The stage was set for a crime of unprecedented scale. This was no random act, it was a textbook tiger kidnapping. The gang targeted bank employees, using their families as leverage to force them into committing the crime. The method bypassed security systems by turning trusted insiders into unwilling accomplices. The criminals' power lay in their psychological manipulation, making the victims feel utterly helpless. The trauma was profound, not just the terror of abduction, but the guilt of being forced to betray their employer. This was a crime that attacked both the vault and the human spirit. As night turned to morning, the gang's plan unfolded with chilling detail. McMullen and Ward were ordered to go to work as usual, hiding their terror behind a mask of normality. Any sign of distress would mean disaster for their families. The gang's instructions were precise. They knew the bank's routines, security protocols, and the roles of their captives. The heist was timed for the end of the workday, when staff numbers were low. McMullen was told to send a junior staff member home early, reducing witnesses. He then let Ward into the vault area, using their legitimate authority to avoid suspicion. The plan was subtle: no forced entry, no alarms, just an inside job orchestrated from the outside. The gang even detailed how to pack and prepare the cash for collection. Every move was scripted, every contingency considered. The operation was a masterclass in criminal planning. The blueprint was flawless. No witnesses, no alarms, no evidence. The perfect crime was in motion. Monday, December 20th. McMullen and Ward arrived at work, carrying the weight of their families' lives. Every interaction was a performance, every moment a test of nerve. As the day ended, McMullen sent a junior colleague home, then escorted Ward to the vault. To outsiders it looked routine. In reality, it was the start of the UK's largest cash robbery. Inside the vault, they loaded £26.5 million, new and used notes, into bags and wheelie bins. The gang's instructions were clear: mix the notes to make laundering easier. The men, once protectors of the bank's wealth, were now forced to hand it over. The gang even had them scatter empty cash boxes and waste paper to confuse investigators. The scene was staged to look chaotic, masking the operation's true precision. After nearly 2 hours, the money was ready. McMullen and Ward had done exactly as ordered. They waited in the silent vault, hearts pounding for the final instruction. The heist was nearly complete. Now, only the escape remained. The bank's fortress had been breached from within. The scale of the crime was staggering. With the cash packed, the gang's final act began. McMullen was directed to a loading bay, where a white van arrived on cue. He and Ward loaded the bags and bins. No alarms, no witnesses, just a silent transfer of millions. The van vanished into the night, the robbers' escape as seamless as the heist itself. McMullen and Ward were told to lock up and go home, still under threat. Only after their families were released did they contact police. By then, the gang had hours head start. The crime scene was almost spotless. No break-in, no alarms, no evidence. The van was later found burned out, the trail gone cold. Suspicion quickly fell on the provisional IRA, but proof was elusive. The criminals had orchestrated a near-perfect crime and disappeared. The investigation was massive, but the gang left almost nothing behind. £26.5 million was gone, and so were the thieves. The heist stunned the nation and baffled law enforcement. The victims were left with trauma, and the world with questions. The Northern Bank robbery had become legend overnight. The perfect crime had left only shadows. 20 years later, the Northern Bank robbery remains unsolved. Most of the stolen millions have never been recovered. No one has been definitively brought to justice. For the victims, the trauma endures. A life forever changed by a single night. The case exposed vulnerabilities in even the most secure systems. The lack of convictions has left a cloud over the justice system and Northern Ireland's political landscape. The heist is remembered not just for its audacity, but for its human cost. The thieves stole more than money. They stole peace of mind. The empty vault stands as a monument to their success, and the unanswered questions echo still. The perfect crime, it seems, is the one that leaves behind only a story.